and thank you again for joining us for this conscious collective panel where we come together differently every week to discuss topics that we feel are relevant to us as part of the spiritual community, and we hope that you find them relevant to yourself today. Today we're going to discuss the eclipse. We're going to discuss how that makes us feel, and we're just going to discuss the incoming energies and what that actually looks like, feels like, and what we do about it as it hits us, especially on days like today, fairly hard. Um, Now, Karen, I know you were going through it this morning, so why don't you let people know like what that feels like for you in this eclipse today?
It's just very heavy hitting. It was just very bringing things to awareness of items, chores, things that I'd been working through, and I thought it was done. And then you get a message. It's like, oh, well, I need this, 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 and this. And it was just like, it just kind of floors you. And when you think you've taken care of something and moved on to other things and focusing on high vibe and positive thinking, you're always creating your future in the now. But yeah, this the eclipse, and I guess Neptune soon into Aries for like the first time in like 150 years, like Sunday. Yeah, like the 30th, whatever. Like I've also lost track of time. Like the week flies by. And I'm like, how is this every week? It's like, oh, I'm going to take care of this, this, and this. And then does it get done? How's it already April practically? Don't know. So, this is a great opportunity, I feel, especially, spiritual community. We're always trying to be thoughtful and mindful of others. But then sometimes it's like, hey, I need to be a little mindful and give some of that love back to me, some of that grace, some of that forgiveness, and not judging myself for just like, crying in the shower, just like, why, just releasing the frustration, and just having the awareness that this too shall pass, the law of rhythm, things, peaks and valleys. It's okay, breathe through it. But when you're in the storm, man, sometimes it's hard to find your ground. So, it's very important to find your tribe, and it is amazing. I get angry about tech, if you're a, Uncle Ted enjoyer and understanding, industrial society impacts on nature and connecting with your soul and the truth. But the gift that is technology that allows us to connect from all over the world to, support each other, I think that is absolutely a beautiful gift to us. So yeah. Now I have to wait my
I
nose.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's flowing.
Rockell, how are you feeling the energies? Are they hitting you as hard, or how's that process going?
I was having more of like a build up beforehand. I feel like I always get hit before like the build up, and then like when it happens, like right now, I feel so good. I'm like so thankful to actually be in this space where I am right now. But what I've noticed is like when these huge transits happen, like because the collective is like going through it with us, that I think I'm like purging for them because I've been doing so much shadow work for the last 5 years, like y'all have, and like letting go of illusions and programs that are like built into us, like unworthiness, abandonment, whatever it is. And now when things like that come up, I'm noticing, I think I'm feeling it for the collective. Like they're purging it as well because it is like chaos out there right now. And I noticed because I'm in like a region like down here in the southeast where we're kind of like purple, like we're red and blue mixed, and I'm sure you guys know what I mean when I say that. But like, so to feel what these people are going through, like their dark nights of souls, and then like, coming out of that, like, I don't know, it's like we're like conduits almost, like we're feeling it for them. And I think that's when we purge, like in the shower, when we let all those emotions out. Because the water is like, it is us and it allows us to like release and just let it go. So I had some emotional days where I just started bawling, crying like 3 days ago in traffic. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And then I was like, oh yeah, there's eclipse coming. So it made me feel a lot better. So Yeah, same. How about you? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling it today, and I always feel it like physically. So it's funny because my mood wasn't that bad. I was in a fine mood, but all the children are in a bad mood. And
Hmm.
it's like when your kids are in a bad mood, it kind of puts mom
It
in a
sucks.
bad mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Because they're just going crazy. So it's hard to gauge how what's going on with me because they've kept me so busy, but I'm feeling it physically. That was first and foremost. Like I woke up feeling it, like it's that feeling where you're in the pressure cooker in the vice script and like you can
Hmm.
feel it like pressing in. And then it's just usually like if it's peace and calm, I can allow that and it can feel beautiful. But I think because the way my day has been, it hasn't allowed that to just sit and be. And there's a certain level of panic, but it's not mine. So I fully know
Hmm.
what you mean by
Yeah.
processing the collective. And this is why, again, I think you're a projector, and probably Karen too, if you guys know human design, because the projector was put here to help the world go through their energy. And it says if you know you're a projector or not, if you want to or not, you are going to be the ultimate conduit for the higher energies coming down to the earth to help that just come through. And like with that is purging their darkness. And it has so many layers of being an empath in it, like one and the same, as well as its own separate thing. So it's just there's so much to it because I could feel this like just I could feel this overwhelming devastation, but it's not mine. Like, when you can feel that
Hmm.
space and then almost like a panic, like they're scared. And I think what it is, if I was to intuitively guess and pick that up, it's everything that's happening is getting a little too real for them, getting a little too big. Like there's a lot of them that like knew times had changed. They knew the world was different, but they were still like waiting any minute now for things to go back how they were, or at least to sit in a space that they felt was normal. And that's just not going to happen. And it's time for everybody to step up and level up. And I think they're starting to
Hmm.
realize as they look around them, like the universe is not letting anybody get away with anything anymore. Like even if it's just simple laziness or not, like usually a lot of what comes down to the human problem is laziness. Like they know things, but they'd rather just let the news tell them what's what and not research it themselves,
Yep.
or have the government tell them what's what and not do anything about it themselves. And it's just coming out more and more that no, 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 you're going to have to think for yourself. You're going to have to choose for yourself,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to pick your own path. If you don't pick your own path, you end up wasting your entire life, and you're going to that's one of the biggest tragedies I could ever imagine, is to realize you're 95 years old and you haven't lived one single day for yourself in your life. You just did as you were told, you did what you should do, you did fun things society told you to do, and then that's just a big hollow life. And I think there's a lot of people waking up to that, and this unfortunately why we're seeing the suicides, because they're just not able to cope. A lot of them are just not able to cope, and they're falling. It's literally a falling state. But hopefully they'll pick it up. Hopefully they'll do better, because if they do better, we'll feel better. Like, so I'm always, this
Hmm.
is one of the main reasons I became a teacher, is
Yeah.
because like if you do better, I will feel better, because I'm so sensitive to like the energies of just everything, that it's for my own personal sake that I would love everyone to just be having a
Yeah.
happy and wonderful life. And I mean, that's just, I'll leave it at that. And so with this and with these energies that we know we're purging, what do you think this means right now, Karen? Like, how do you see the collective going through this? What do they need to do? What should they be aware of? Like, how could they be transcending through this?
Hmm. I was actually, yeah, got, part of my mood might be because I did go on. I generally do avoid online except to post things about inspirational or encouraging, but I got kind of sucked into the political muck a little bit. Yeah, Pennsylvania had an interesting Tuesday special thing happen. So just, yeah, a lot of the collective, like what can they do? I mean, gosh, I just, and I tell people, I'm just, just take a breath. You can only control yourself. Stop looking and feeding your eyes and ears with garbage and drama all the time, drama and fighting and infighting and finger pointing and debating and arguing. And it's just, my theme is just today, it was just surrender. Like, is it my ego that keeps me doing what I'm doing? Um, I opened my spiritual fitness center about 2 years ago, and it's, still not fully able to support itself, but it was something that during prayer one morning in I think it was 2020, yeah, it must have been 2023, that it was one of the clearest messages that ever came through for me. And I don't necessarily say that I channel, but I'm very connected to, my Christ consciousness, higher being, inner child, whatever label, that goes with it. But it was get your own place. Um, Understanding that people have different levels of awareness, different experiences, different soul agreements that maybe that they are meant to follow. So, and now I'm kind of in a surrender, like, do I keep doing this just to have it? Because to me, it was important to have a physical location separate from my home. So, but then it's like, well, I can always change it. I can always go somewhere else. I can always do online for a while. Don't be so stuck in the expectation that because I made a choice and I did this, that it doesn't have to be forever. And maybe I'm clinging to it. And people in general cling to the familiar, or, hey, this was what the message was, or this is what a channel or a tarot reader told me. And people go with that. And it's, if people would just go within and breathe and check with themselves what their truth is and what feels good for them, and pay attention to the physical body responses about reactions to things. Yeah, I think that gets overlooked a lot when people get the goosebumps or the shivers about something or someone or a song that comes on. It's telling people, reminding people that you have the power to create your reality. And I think for light workers and spiritual warriors, and those of us who are kind of anchoring the light or acting as a bridge to the fourth and fifth dimension, is just like, yeah, it's hard straddling that line between worlds, because I've chosen to live as if I'm already living my dream. I'm that's how I'm doing it, but it gets hard. um, I don't know how, short of repealing the Smith-Munn Act and the country, as far as, just being able to spew lies, and it gets a little depressing and demoralizing after a while. Especially if you have family who are still, you can tell them things, show them things, and they'll be like, oh, well, I don't believe that. I like legitimately say, I didn't see that on TV. I don't believe you. Okay. So it's kind of like, okay, so I take my own advice, breathe, go within, can only control myself, can't control others. I'm on my path, they're on theirs. But sometimes that human ego is just like, oh my God, how much longer does this have to go on?
Seriously.
Eh.
I feel you. I love that you have a spiritual gym. That is so cool.
Well, I say fitness studio because it's more teaching and Reiki. I
I love
don't,
that.
do the yoga thing, but one of the things I'd like to create in the future is a
Yeah.
space where, like, the individual practitioner, like, there's the yoga studio, there's the bookstore crystal shop, there's a coffee
Yeah.
center, there's, hey, maybe
Mhm.
there's a childcare center
Apothecary.
and a
Yeah.
classroom. But just
Yeah.
starting it, like I said, I just found a space, no business plan, no money, just
That is
pure
so
faith.
cool. Yeah,
And
you just
figure it out.
decided and then allowed. Like you just
Yeah. So,
decided and then allow the universe to support you in all of God's creation. That's so cool. It's beautiful. I didn't know that you had that. So I will look more into that. That's really cool.
oh,
I I'm around a lot of people because I have a small business and I do container gardening and flowers and window boxes. So I get to see a lot of these people, y'all. And I didn't realize how many of my clients are on the left side. So they are now just opening up their throat chakra and like they're angry. They're like, who's this person doing this? And why is Trump doing this? And why is Elon? And I think this is healthy that they're actually now starting to talk about it out loud. Where before, back in 2020, they didn't talk about anything. They just looked at us like we were crazy for not wearing masks. So now they're getting so triggered, and I think it's so brilliant because they're actually like they're talking about it like a normal conversation where it's always been a normal conversation, all this stuff for me. Like I live, breathe, and eat spirituality. And I know we got to go through this to get to what we truly are, which is primal, like going back and connecting back to all that is, because it holds all the information, like the trees and the leaves and the pollen and the bees and the bugs. Like I was reading, like, even if a little bug bites you, I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's actually opening up a pore that needs to allow information, cosmic information to come into us. How beautiful is that? And here we are, like, convinced that we need to, like, spray our houses and get rid of all the cockroaches. And it's just like, it's it is so connected, guys. And now it's like when I start seeing what's happening, I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. This is so good. They're gonna get triggered, they're gonna start having their dark night of the souls, they're gonna go through it, they're gonna hit rock bottom, and they're gonna have to get loud and use their platforms. Because what's happening is the fact that we have like TikTok and X and Facebook and Instagram or Telegram, everybody is going to be a digital warrior because they're all going to start using their platforms, no matter who you are, to spread truth because they're figuring it out just like us. So it's going to like, here soon, it's going to be like a wave of just like enlightenment coming. And I can just kind of already visual, like see it in my vision. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is so fun. So I'm trying to like have fun with the awakening now, where a couple of weeks ago I was like, this sucks. This is the hardest part, is waiting on them. And like, oh my God, I'm like, yeah, light years ahead of all these people. Like, how are we going to do this? But now I'm seeing it. They are talking to me. Like, I'm having clients even text me, y'all. Sorry, Rockell, that I was a little wishy-washy on the rock, deciding on the rock. I just, look what's happening to our country, blah, 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 blah. And he has no idea where I stand politically. So for him to say that to me, the 70-year-old man, I'm like, this is so good. This is so good. And I just wrote back, it'll all make sense soon. Don't worry. So I think for them, you know, what I do is when they approach me and they're like kind of freaking out, and I'm like, well, let's just look at it from another view. Because I, you know, even for me, I'm in the middle with everything. Like I didn't even vote, y'all. Like I am so in the middle now. Like, and I'm like, well, let's look at it from this view and this view and this view and this view and this view, you know, and I'm actually now finding the language to be able to talk to them. And it's taken me 5 years to even feel confident enough to be like, okay, let's just see what's happening. Like, what are they trying to show you? Why is Elon exposing where all the tax dollars going? Like, he's trying to show you where your back breaking work, money, all this energy is going. So, I mean, I'm just trying to like take it from a different approach and stay calm when I'm talking to them, not get excited or overly excited. That was my problem in the past. I'd be like, oh, let's talk. I don't know. What do you think about that, Dyanna? Like,
No, I love that. That's perfect. And I absolutely get the validity with that, because when you say I'm naturally in the center. I ended up, like, we all kind of ended up going a bit on the what would be conservative side because of the
yeah.
way the left went crazy, but I
Hmm.
get where they're coming from, because initially, like, I was progressive, and because you're young and you think, like, I want freedom for everybody, because that's what they actually think they're fighting for. They actually think they're
I
fighting, like,
know.
especially the ones that go like fuller into the communist or social agenda. It makes sense if you think about it from almost like, and it's funny because they end up thinking they're extra intelligent, but really they're actually being naive. And I realize that now. Like, they think that you could have that life and it wouldn't turn tyrannical. And then they think the current thing is always tyrannical. And it's like, okay, the whole thing is tyranny. The
Hmm.
whole thing was a game and a show, and we were tricked by the entire sham. The whole
It's a
thing
pyramid.
needs,
Yep.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. So it needs to go, and that needs to just be awful, and people just need to stay open and be willing to change their opinions. The whole thing of, okay, so today, and I don't usually argue with people on Twitter, let alone people that aren't even talking about anything that's relevant to me. But my husband posts, because we took the kids to see Snow White last night, and it has a lot of controversy around it. He's the one who actually didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it for the kids, and I actually liked the musical. But I thought it was awful. It was torture. I had to leave. It really was. But my husband actually liked it, and the kids all liked it. And so my husband writes, "Oh, I actually like," because Babylon B posted something about it, and he's like, "Funny enough, I actually did enjoy it." It's not like he's saying it's the best movie in the world. He's just saying it
No.
wasn't painful because it only has a 2 on IMDb. And either way, so of course a bunch of people start posting how awful it is. Well, I get into this one person because they said awful things to my husband, and I got triggered, and I was like, "You don't know who he is." I was like, maybe he took his children to go to it, because they're just saying, and then they come back and they say it doesn't matter, and then they're like posting statistics of what the news said. And I literally, it's just
Oh
like it's
man.
like you sum up all of them right there. You're not telling
Yeah,
me
you're
your
like,
experience. Mine,
mm-mm.
yeah, my
Yeah.
husband is telling you his lived
Hmm.
experience of going. And this person's saying, "Oh, it's failing at the box office and it's blah blah blah." And I'm like, maybe, and I said this line, maybe you should actually try going and living a life for yourself, experience it for yourself instead of being told what to think. And it's
Yeah.
just like,
Hmm.
that's just it right there.
Reviews.
Because I will
Hmm.
respect, yeah, I will respect anybody's views on what they have lived through themselves. If you have done it, if you have been there, and that's truly how you felt with it, like, because I hate the movie myself, but am I going to argue with my husband when he sits there and he enjoyed it? I think that's adorable. Like, you know what I mean? i'm
Hmm.
not i'm not going to argue with you, because we both went through that experience. We both had the experience, and that's two different experiences, but they're both real and authentic. And I think that's the
Yeah.
huge issue with the world, is they want to talk about things, have opinions on things, and actually try to be influencers in topics when they don't even have any experience themselves. And it reminds me of my original journalism days. It's why I lost full respect for the situation. We weren't taught how to actually do investigative journalism. We were taught to read the feeds. They were called feeds, and they came in on these black machines. They literally weren't even in the regular computer system. They were these black machines that would pull up the feed, and we would just pick one of those stories, and then it even had the full information, though we would usually Google more information, but it was still not, or take from other newspapers. Like, it was not investigative journalism. Go ahead.
Well, that's why right now the left, like I hate even saying that, but the people on the left, like Cuomo, he's starting up a podcast, but he's like doesn't even know how to have a podcast because he's never been authentic. He's only read a script. Excuse me, that has been given to them to read. They never felt into the information, they never grew, they never like, discerned it and like, really embodied it. And I think he had a right wing like conservative on, and he actually called him out. He's like, dude, you guys are now trying to start podcasts, but y'all are gonna struggle because you guys are not authentic. And he said, Cuomo was like, yeah, you're right. We really have no idea how to do this because none of them are heart centered. They're all ego mind. That's it. So this is going to be like a huge shift in consciousness. Actually, it's great because if they can shift and actually start becoming heart mind like us, that's going to help the collective because they all affect us. What do you think, Karen?
Yes. So much yes. Oh man. That just but yeah. That's just the main thing. It's living from the heart. It's being authentic. And just from my personal experience as far as the spiritual journey and experience is just always be open. Like, I don't know anything. Like, yeah, people, yeah, I don't mock
Yeah.
flat earthers. I've not been up in space. I don't know unless I've personally experienced it. Like, I love people talking about, Arcturians, Pleiadians, galactics, all of it. It's awesome. It's amazing. I love it. But am I gonna be full on, this is how it is, and I am the
How?
reincarnation of this or that? Like, I don't know. And I'm okay not knowing, which
Hmm.
I feel it helps with authenticity because, whenever I talk to somebody about any of these whether spiritual, esoteric, occult concepts, you know, it's all magic. It's all unseen energies. It's wisdom that's been hidden from us. So what if? What if? And understanding natural laws that we create what we think about and what we believe, there's times where I'm like, there is some value to those, psyops of like positivity and hopium. Like, I've kicked that, the date, 2 more weeks, blah, 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 keep it, I don't know. I'm just going to be happy now. I'm going to be grateful for my home, for my amazing husband, for the lovely Reiki clients and students that I have. I focus on that because what you focus on is what you get more of. And I, sometimes get caught in that intellectual wave of, the ego. And I love it. Yeah, what you said, Dyanna, about Snow White. Funniest thing was that, and I told people, I was like, I actually got a kick out of the Barbie movie. I didn't pay for it.
Oh, me too. I did
It's
too.
not it was fun and like visually, it was so pretty. It was so pretty and fun. And Ryan
But it
Gosling,
had a
come
lot
on.
had a lot of meaning in it. Mhm.
Yeah,
Had a lot of meaning in
yeah.
it, and it
It
really did show the bubble, like the bubble that we live in. But also the Wicked. Wicked was another one that revealed a lot, just our relationship between us and animals and how that got taken away. And they really are like we live in harmony with animals, guys. Like it really is real. Like that's coming back. All that ancient hidden wisdom is coming back. Like, and this is one thing I want to know if y'all feel this. What has changed with me lately is I just know. I don't even need to like if someone tell like say you guys were came up to me and were like, Raquel, that spider right there, is creating a whole frequency right here and connecting this tree to this tree by its web. I would be like, yep. Mhm. Like I am just like so tapping into the knowingness. Like something is definitely changing. It's like next level. It's very beautiful, and emotional at the same time. It makes me really emotional because I'm like, oh my gosh. And I think that's like these 5 years have done with our discernment. It's allowed us to be able to now feel the information instead of having to like, I need to know this, I need this confirmation, I need this cross confirmation. I just know.
I love that. I love that, and I feel that too. The the not knowing, and especially even to what Karen said about how there's so many different things, it's etheric, and then you go into dimensions and timelines, and it really is anything. Falling down Alice in Wonderland's rabbit hole,
Yeah.
and we are not decided on where we're going to land. Like we're tumbling, but like it's a collective, it's a personal decision in some regards. I think it's layered. Like personally, we decide certain things within our personal game, but then as you widen out, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're so my town probably has a collective, and then the province has a collective, and then the country has a collective, and then the continent has a collective, and so on and so forth. And we each get on board and align the decisions. And again, that goes into what people have said about how we're going to move to what suits us best. And then but it's not decided, it's not decided, so it leaves me very like where I sit in resonance, and it's like some things are a sure no, like we're done, no. And then other things are like yes. And then but there's a lot more of just perhaps, there's a lot of perhaps happening.
Just allowing for what can be. Yeah.
We got a man.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, mama. Oh yeah, it's the mama.
That was that. What's that guy?
But I'm definitely raising these ones to be spiritual leaders, though, that's for sure. To think, like, I tell them about school to have to listen to their teachers. They don't have to do their homework. I'd prefer they pass, and that's just for their own sake, so they stay with their friends. And don't be rude. Obviously, like there's morals involved, like to that
Yep.
regard. But oh my god, the actual standards of school. And then if they ever want to kick
Oh, awful.
my kids out, then oh well, they'll just force me back into homeschooling.
Yeah, and then we'll just do that. We're the same way. We're kind of just like just pass, and I don't know, y'all. I saw a really amazing decode the other day about even like what school buses represent. I don't know if y'all saw that, and it was the reason why they're painted yellow is because the kids get on, they get taken to school, they come out, but when they're in the school, all their essence, their honey, what they are, their light gets drained from them. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like right there. These giant school buses that are going by constantly that are bright yellow. And of course, the Matrix wanted to convince us, oh, that's so they could see the school buses, it's all cover up. But everything has
So
hidden meaning. And I
interesting.
was just, it blew my
That
mind, but it
is
clicked. I
super
was like, oh yeah,
interesting. Because
it's just the
especially going
honey.
into like the bee symbolism, the honey bee,
I
why do
know,
they
the
call,
hive,
the queen bee and the hive and the
the
Hollywood
hive
and the
mind.
singer, and it's all connected. The symbolism is the wow, I never heard that about the school buses. Now I'm thinking,
Yeah. Well, that's like
yeah,
an
wow,
example of like when I read it, I just knew. I was like, oh yeah, this is truth. Like I
that
don't even
makes
have to like
sense.
question it. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
so crazy. But they like what I'm noticing with the kids, they are really, kind of like little system busters. They are not conforming. Like my kids are not conforming. We're just kind of getting by the skin of our teeth. And the only reason why is because I can't afford to be homeschooling yet. Like I know the universe and creation is going to provide that soon. Like we're all trending that way. Um, it's just a matter of time though, and I'm excited for that for them.
Yeah, I tried it, and I think it might be more possible for my son, but my oldest, it was just not on the table. I like what you said about the buses. Have you guys ever? I'm sure you've seen the videos where they show like the school system versus the prison system, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Oh,
scary the same.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like they tell you when they tell you, like the symbology there, like you can't ignore that. That is so identical, and the fact that they want them to be raised into servitude. Like they want that. They want
yeah.
the obedient. And we all, I mean, did you guys do school? Yeah, you guys went through the school
mm,
system? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you could see the difference between homeschooled like adults. They're not the same people. They're
That's
actually
so cool.
happy. They actually know what happiness, like they can have like a more long-standing happiness that doesn't need to be some separate practice that they work at. They don't need to cultivate
Right.
happiness. Happiness is just part of their innate being because it was never squished out of them. Like the
That's
fact that
yeah.
we had
Yep.
to pick between art, drama, and music right there was already something. I don't
I
know if you guys did in
know.
America, but in Canada, you
Yeah.
had to
No,
pick
it's the
one
same.
of the three.
Yeah.
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 And it's like in
Yep.
proper upbringing of a child, they should have music, art, and drama, and more, and dance, and anything else you could think of, singing. They should have all
Hmm.
as an open option.
And the astrology,
And
like
then
the kids should be
hopefully that's why if I'm yes, 100% astrology would be fantastic. It's something that's so in
like.
us too. Because I remember being in school and go ahead.
Oh no, no,
No, I
you
remember
go.
being in
It was
school and
just
looking.
cutting. It was cutting out.
Okay. Oh yeah, I think I'm coming delayed. But we would know about like our zodiac and we'd read our horoscopes. Like it was already starting. Like the child is so programmed to learn spiritual information. It's the time to be exposing children, and that way we don't
Hmm.
need to go. They won't know. They don't need to go through that work as an adult to undo all this programming if they're just naturally in their spiritual self.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
yeah, and having I'd worked as a government contractor around, early learning and childcare education, that whole thing. And what's interesting, and I try to draw parallels from like my childhood. What's interesting, and then I realize it later on, is that I never went to childcare. Like my mother stayed home with me until I, had to go to kindergarten when they mandated it. And yeah, that
Hmm.
was right after Carter created the Department of Education. So I got in there, I guess, before it got super corrupted or whatever. But just, normalizing the you must be here and spend your entire day away from home, away from your family, and paying attention to some person that you're just supposed to automatically trust everything they say.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And I don't know when Diana, when you talk about timelines and that we can jump them not only now, but our past, because about healing our past and going back to those painful places and having the awareness that, yes, I can be there with her as my own guardian angel during those painful times and explain it's not your fault. Like relieving that stuck energy of guilt or shame or blame. But I'll just really interest. I'll just share this story. I don't think I've ever told anyone. Not it's not bad, but kindergarten for whatever reason. I was very blessed with parents that cared very much about me. So, and I don't remember learning how to read, but my mother always read to me. She's a legal immigrant from China. My father was in the military. Um, and they moved back, and then when they got to Pennsylvania and I was going to school, but so English, she had to learn it, so she was constantly, she must have been reading me books or something, I don't remember learning, but they were doing this handwriting thing in kindergarten, like here's the poem and write down the poem, and you had the paper that had the lines, the multiple levels of lines, and it was something about, the Easter bunny is on the way, was like the last line. And I said, well, it says the Easter bunny is won the way, because it said ONE. And I remember this to this day. And I was just like, so I got my first taste of, yeah, you don't speak up to authority because, yeah, it was fallout from it, because it was like, but it says one, the Easter bunny is won the way because there's an E at the end. And I was like this 5-year-old kid. So,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so that kind of branded me like very young, as far as, and I wasn't trying to be smart. I was genuinely just pointing out a type. And but then you realize, like, children get squashed for that. Like, how dare you? Like, you don't embarrass an adult. You don't do that. And then you get treated like garbage. Yeah, pretty much, because you hurt some woman's ego of like, well, I'm the kindergarten teacher. I'm like, well, you can't spell the word on. So yeah. So while I was a public school student, I kind of had that homeschool mentality of, yeah, trust but verify, or, just, having access to other books. I grew up reading so much sci-fi. Brian Lumley and Robert McCammon, Frank Herbert, all the Dune stuff, and watching Doctor Who on PBS. So I always had a very open mind for the supernatural and the unseen, which was, I kind of attribute that to where I'm at now. So it is pretty exciting to think, like, yeah, I believe that I did agree to this contract or this path, this adventure, this timeline, because it's supposedly not ever happened, physical ascension with the earth before. So what are your thoughts on that, as far as, you hear about it, it's like this is going to happen, or our bodies are going to change, and I'm just interested to know what other people like, what do you guys
I think it's
think
happening. Like it is happening right now. Because what I've noticed like is we don't even need as much food. You know what I mean? Like we've been lied to about that, and even that stuff is changing. And like the sun, like we've been lied to about the sun. Like I stopped wearing sunglasses back 5 years ago, 2020. I have not worn sunglasses in 5 years, like not even put them on my eyes or anything. And I can, be out in the sun. I'm fine. Like my circadian rhythm is coming back online where it kind of was like artificial before. um, and I don't know. I just noticed that like the more the more these aspects, right? Because as they move around us, like it shifts in us. So back to like the eclipse, right? So if the kids are learning in school about all the astrology, they know how to like prepare themselves. Like, okay, I might need more water in my human when this giant aspect is like retrograding or whatever. And I do believe they are so much closer. Like I think they're like right there, but because of whatever screen we have that shields it, that we don't see them. So I think that's why we feel it so much. Like a lot of people are having a problem with their teeth. Their teeth are like falling out, or they're constantly hurting, or whatever. But it's all because it's so connected, and which ties into ascension, right? Because we have all these prophecies coming true. Even that cool portal that opened up like over the UK. What was it, like a couple of days ago? What was it, like 5, 6 days ago?
Insane.
Like, I know, and they tried to say it was gas from one of the spaceships. Like, are you kidding me? Like, discernment. That's a lie. Like, that's a pure lie. So yes, I do think that we like all this stuff. We don't need all the material. We barely even need houses, guys, because as we recalibrate, the weather recalibrates back to its true as within, so without. So it changes with us, where we can live more like outside, like we don't have to have a building with dead wood. You know what I mean? Like even how we're living right now is kind of inverted. So yes, I really do think that we're gonna, like, our bodies are gonna keep changing. I think we're even gonna get bigger, like taller again, because we kind of been shrunk down. I think we're gonna start, like, as kids come in, they will grow to be bigger before puberty and stuff. Maybe not necessarily us with these bodies. We might not stretch out, but we are gonna change regardless. So yeah, and with whatever's happening out there and this screen that's above us, when this comes off, the water vapor, this whole water vapor canopy is going to fall, which will allow everything to grow more abundant and larger, including us. And that's going to happen like in our lifetime, I do believe.
That's fantastic. I feel like you'd resonate with stories of Pan, and like it's similar to the Lemurian story, but I just like it. It had dragons and wizards, and it's our original story, and we were these magical elf fairy creatures, and then that was taken from us, similar to how you hear how it was taken from Lemuria, how other beings came in and corrupted them, and then we slowly changed over ourselves. And at this point now, we're a combination of the ones that invaded and the originals, because they interbred and forced it on the original inhabitants. But I think because we are born on this earth, it makes our connection actually stronger when the original earth people, like, I love how people love to talk about their origins, and so do I. Who doesn't? But I don't get too married to it, and to like, this is who I am, because I'm actually mostly an earth being, regardless of whatever star thing I'm, or my soul or anything. But for the name of the game right now, this body is your biggest tool to work with, because we're on earth, we're born of earth, and everything that makes up this physical body, which is one and the same with our soul while it's still alive, is earth. And that right there, like living in trees, avatar style, just sleeping on the ground. I used to have dreams where I'd be sleeping on the ground and be so comfy. And the fact that you'd be breathing in pure earth and just having that, it just sits so well. But we're not there. Like, we're not, like, try going camping, and even if it's a nice day, by nighttime the ground turns freezing cold. You need to be like in a space where, actually, when it sounds like, so like the filament's going to change, it's going to drop completely or just expand, and then we'll have more to grow. Because I also see the world becoming more of an Amazon, like more of a rainforest. Like I just see that as a projection of the future. I just have always seen that. And it's like, what, am I going to move to Mexico? Like, because it's like one of those hits that come and you like don't even know what it means. And it's like, well, you said right there, it might just mean everything. So when they talk about global warming and all that narrative, it's like, that's just, the planet's a living being. She's waking up. Increased energy and heat go hand in hand. They're one and the same. So of course the heat and the energy, like, that is what that is. So when you talk about stopping global warming, it's actually a secret narrative to stop the awakening, because you want to stop the heating up. You want to stop the energy that's coming in all of our beings, that's naturally waking every single person up, even if they don't want to. So it's all part of this process. What we'll see in our lifetime is what I'm not too sure about. I know we're definitely heading to be like pure magic again, but the way time works, this could be 1,000 years in the making. Like, by the end of the next 2,000 years, we're supposed to be a full magical utopia. but we're like the changeover factors. We
Yeah, we're the
be
hard work.
in
We're putting in the hard work.
exactly. Yeah, we get the turbulent time.
Yeah, and
Ooh.
then we see all these movies and, scientists that want to block out the sun. Like, yeah, they want to stop that solar energy from like reigniting the photonic energy in our cells, to translate the carbon into crystalline energy and be able to hold and broadcast more light just from our physical being, and understanding that like we have these bodies, like let's use them. That's when sometimes with the spiritual, the ones who are like very ascetic, like, oh, don't drink, don't smoke, don't waste your sexual energy. You know you're kind of here, you should kind of enjoy yourself now and then, as long as you're not going overboard.
Mhm.
But I feel like
Mhm.
with the magic, sometimes it's like, oh, we've been programmed with this whole, oh, it must be very holy and serious and quiet and very reverent kind of energy of like, oh, we don't know what's going on. But it's like, you do know what's going on within you, what lights you up, what brings you joy, and and learning and being open and just focusing on that. And we've already landed heaven on earth. We can experience that, and I believe we already are, or we wouldn't be feeling that the collective kind of upheaval that's going on now. And just taking that on for them, because they're not even aware of like that it is a dark night of the soul. They just kind of are like, oh, everything sucks. And then, everything sucks to them because of external circumstances. They're busy pointing fingers at all these people and situations. But it's again, it's like, no, as with it, your inner state creates your outer circumstances. And spiritually aware people are very responsible about that. What am I putting out at all times? Or if something really weird or crazy happens, like, how did I create that? How did I
Yeah.
understand,
Why did
giving
I do
yourself
that?
the grace that we didn't create it all? Like, sometimes things are just, outside of ourselves. And just, um, I'm always very go back to the basics. Yeah, when I do teaching,
Same.
it's just very, you got to stick to the basics, because people want to learn esoteric concepts to, oh, I want a new beamer, or I want, whatever the coolest new thing is. And it's not coming from that heart space, and which is the power, the love, the heart chakra, the compassion, the truth. And once you do tap into that, when you have that moment of divine connection and awareness, and yeah, that just brings you to tears when you finally that it's reached your heart chakra, and you just get touched by God. Basically, it's like, oh my gosh, I see it, I feel it, I understand it. And then it is a big responsibility, and sometimes we don't always give ourselves the kudos, like, yeah, we are doing the work. And like, there's days where it just wipes you out. Physical ascension symptoms, ringing of the ears, lots, always thirsty. um, but I've had things that have been healing, like nerve damage stuff within the last few days. I've been, just focus. You focus your intention, your energy where you want it to heal. And I believe the matrix is always trying to throw distractions and this and that. And like, pick one thing, sometimes it's just pick one thing that you can do when you're feeling kind of an eclipse kind of butt kicking. But it always passes, it always does. And just having that awareness, and allowing the inner child to have a temper tantrum, cry, scream, and be a little full of self-pity, woe is me, allow it. I'm like, okay, sometimes I do want to blame outside circumstances and things, and that's okay, because we don't know. But the only thing we do know is the power of our vibration, our frequency. Like, that's the creative power. And as long as we just keep that awareness, and not in that false, ooh, everything's positive, everything's love and light. Like, we're not there yet. We're not there
Mm-mm.
yet. And I was like, oh, we're all one and we must, support everything and everyone no matter what. Like, I'm not there yet. Like, my reality is not
No.
reflecting that. But when it does, I'll be more than happy to adopt that philosophy. When people are all kind of on the same page with what they understand is true, what they understand is good or healthy for them. Because right now it's kind of such a free for all.
It really is. There's just so much happening. You can really get lost in the sauce. Like, I think it's really a lot of metamorphosis kind of like taking place in the body too. I've noticed, like, letting go, like you said, like that victim, like a lot of people have to go through that. Like, I am a victim, but I'm not a victim. Like, I'm actually bigger than this whole thing that has like been created around us. And what I've been noticing with all the transits and stuff is like the collective, they're going through being a victim right now and having to like work through that illusion. Because now it's like, oh yeah, that was happening, but now I don't have to consent to that. Like, I'm more than that. Like, I don't have to even worry about what's happening like in the political stuff because it's all playing out for the highest good, no matter what gets exposed. And I think it's going to get like even so muddier here soon, that a lot of people are going to be like, what, like, they're just going to be super confused. And I think even like some of the spiritual community is going to go through another, like, including me, where we're like, oh my God, like I thought he was good and I thought he was, bad, but oh no, it's like flipped. And so I think it's all just, there's some kind of mathematical like geometry that they're using, whoever's here helping us, and I do believe we have guides helping us, that they're using like a calculation to help us unwind all the black magic spells. Because a spell has to be like, broken for it to release its power. So I think that that's happening right now too. Um, and I love what you said, Karen, about going back into the memories in the past and healing those memories. Because I was talking about this recently with my friend Connect Neo, and he was saying a lot of our money issues are around our childhood, when our parents would say, no, you can't have that. No, it's too expensive. No, I don't have money for that. And how we would feel like, oh, well, I really wanted that popsicle, or, I really wanted those new shoes or whatever. So now we have the opportunity, like people like us, going back and healing those traumas, all that when we were children, because it actually shifts the timeline now. So we will keep shifting our timeline, like you were saying. We'll shift our timeline, and then we get all better versions of all the people in our timeline, like our children, our loved ones, our friends, the collective, the political arena. Like, everything starts to shift. So I love that you said that, and I think that needs to be talked about more often. Going back,
Yeah, yeah.
replaying it, and being there for the child, like being there for yourself, like almost like a guardian angel, like just right there helping little Rockell when she felt
Yeah.
so alone. Because we were all targeted, y'all. Like, all of us that are doing this, we all were getting stalked and targeted and listed, and it's like all that's real, unfortunately. But we're so strong. That's why they do it.
We're still here. We're still
Hmm.
here. Not sure about any of you, but most of friends that I've had in the younger years, they're all passed on beyond the physical. Um, so wondering, it's just like the people, the souls, the really bright, heart-centered souls, like definitely targeted even from a young age. Crazy nightmares as a child for like no reason, and not like monsters or being chased or in this big giant scary mansion where like people are hunting. It is weird sometimes, just acknowledging that, like, where did these dreams come from? Is someone, if you've seen the Sandman story, oh, like, can people sending, bad energy and trying to, manipulate you, scare you, make
In
you,
the
you
astral,
know
yeah. Oh yeah,
yeah.
they could so get us in the astral. I think we have like overlays too, so we don't remember all of it. Whatever we're doing in the astral, like I think a lot of us are on missions. Um, because if we're like awake when we're sleeping, but when we're awake we're dreaming, like this is a dream, we're doing so much out there. And I read from a trusted source that we actually do have an overlay. We can kind of overlay and cover up what we're doing. So when we wake up, we're getting like bad dreams and stuff, but it's actually to cover up what we're really doing in the astral, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know, but I do agree. Like the nightmares and the attacks, and the sexual attack, like it's all like targeted. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like what you said there because, well, I don't like it, but but it ties into what we said, like how this plays out for us and how this feels for us. And the getting attacked, I think, is a natural byproduct of our higher frequency, like born with a higher frequency. And what are the humans really to a lot of the negative things? We're food. And we're actually food for positive beings too. It's just being
Mm-hmm.
food for positive beings feels good. Like how when we have a really good energy session
Yeah.
just with like us, it feels great.
Mm-hmm.
We all gain energy of it, but we're actually all feasting on each other, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Same
Mm-hmm.
if we were to
Feeding each
watch a
other.
horror
Mm-hmm.
movie together and then get really
Mm-hmm.
scared. Yeah. So we can do this for each other and do this for being those kinds of little kids that come in with those higher powers, meaning we're naturally more astral all the time. We're more layered in a spiritual sense, so more easily tapped into for food sources for those types of beings. I was certainly chased my entire childhood and even into adulthood by monsters, like for real. And just they would keep me very, very, very afraid. And I spent most of my life as a neurotic, very scared person for very good reasons. And then they would even get it where they would cause things to happen in my life because that's just how energy is, that like things would just always be going, I don't even want to say the word and bring it back, cancel and nullify. But then you get to a place where you are the watcher and you can watch. So they might still send the same fear thought. They might still send the same fear being, but it's just simply looking at it. And they could try to get the
Mm-hmm.
same fear response, but it's like something shifts and it's like no longer, because you can see it for what it is and you can know it for what it
It has
is.
no power. Yep. There's no power behind it because you're like,
Exactly.
you overpower it because you are now the watcher. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
and
a
you're
lot
so
of my
much more connected
learning.
to your heart.
Heart based,
Exactly. Yes,
right? Like the
Heart-based.
it's totally
ego.
the heart.
Yeah,
Yes.
get an understanding that when you make everything's a choice, you can choose to succumb to the fear. You see it, you're gonna let it control you. Like some of my first big steps of getting over fear were resigning from a job when I didn't have anything else lined up, but I couldn't keep
Money.
working there when everyone's so politically like
Captured.
worshiping CNN and MSNBC. And I was like, I can't. I just couldn't because, yeah, throat chakra. Like, I can't say any of that. But being the communications person who does the website, the trainings, the marketing, the membership, the events, it's torture. 2020 was torture to put out newsletters with what was going
Oh
on and wanting to say,
gosh.
hey, if you actually look at the where this link goes, it goes to a donation for a political party and it doesn't help any people. But, you know, and yeah, the board
Mm.
president, her spouse was a senator in the state. So, so it was all very much assumed. And with the way discussions were held was like, blah, 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 that guy, and blah, blah, bad all the time based on absolutely nothing. And
Good
which
for
drives me
you.
crazy because I always love to, read different sources, accounts, experiences. And for me, like the political awakening was around the time where they were like,
Huge.
funny enough, it was PewDiePie. Like, oh, he did this, blah, blah. Yeah, it was horrible. Oh, racism, right? And so over enough time, I'm like, what exactly was so bad? So I'd go to the source video. Like, oh, like that's out of like dumb. It was dumb. It was like nothing. And I guess that was around the time of like Gamergate, and everybody was just like, oh, they're lying. They're trying to prop up, a movie or a video game that nobody likes and nobody wants. So yeah, interesting times. But yeah, finding more
You,
and more people that just think for yourself, look for the evidence.
yeah.
Do I believe it? Like I said, yeah, just from the kindergarten teacher that set me anti-authority at a very young age of just like, yeah, just because someone's been doing something longer, or they're older, or they have all of these papers and pedigrees saying, oh, look at how great and smart and professional and expert.
No,
Yeah, they don't know the
it's such
difference
a
between
trap.
your and your. Like, you have a master's degree and you don't even know how to use apostrophe re. Like, wow. So, yeah, but just having that awareness of, wow, I always just blindly believed because someone has a title that makes them inherently smarter or more eligible to be in charge. And that's totally not the case. And as this awakening goes on, it gives me hope that these clowns are being exposed for the idiots that they are. And it's a balance of like finding our worth and me thinking like, oh, I'm just this person that tries to help people, but also understanding the power of our voice, the power of our love and our encouragement and support of other people who are finally figuring out, why does life feel so sucky? Just in general, for no reason at all. People that have generally good lives and no big problems, but then it's like they feel guilty as if, oh, my problems aren't big enough. Because we were programmed to care more about, what's on TV, donate your money to save this or save that. And no one ever says, hey, you kind of got to take care of yourself and your situation and your family first before you can start casting stones out everywhere. And,
Sending your
that balance
money,
of yeah,
yeah, sending your money to political figures. Like, are you kidding me? The fact that they could even ask that still, like, that is
yeah,
such a huge red flag. And they did what they did, like what you're talking about is they tried to convince us we're just 1 in 8 billion. That's it. You don't really matter. You're a sinner. You're born a sinner. And that is a whole illusion, a program that is just like they try to insert into us, and that whole spell is being broken. Um, and it's so cool because like it makes it this happen, like us coming together and having this conversation and on the Wi-Fi on the airspace and using this element to like help our brothers and sisters. It's like actually really beautiful. Um, and the fact that you got to see into the political field, I mean, your eyes are being used for all of us, to like see into like the realm. You sharing the stories of like what you saw, like it affects everybody because it's like you had firsthand, you actually were there. You got to see what was happening and how it didn't feel right. It was not congruent with anything.
yeah,
Excuse me, my
it's
throat is
weird.
darker.
Yeah, no worries. But I was going to say, so this is very new to me doing online. I was telling Raquel that I bought a new laptop the day before I did that first podcast with you and Steven. But just, I'm getting over my hesitancy to put myself out there. Like, oh, what's the point? Is it a reputation? Like, people, like, I know who I am. I know where I'm coming from, and I'm not doing it from a place of send me your money and I'll whatever. But just knowing that, yeah, the attacks, it's feeling like things are moving, things are flowing, that people are speaking up. And I'm finding people, in my state who are also aware of, you know, the false dichotomy, red versus blue, that, red or blue, nobody cares about you. So, like, you got to care about yourself and figure that out. But yeah, the money that goes, it's wasted, and it's just, but that's the past. And it's like, okay, don't want that anymore. Done. And sometimes, yeah, it terrifies my husband because I was like, yeah, if it keeps getting this bad, I mean, like, don't make me run for anything. Because I was just like, oh, that'd be awful. Because it is a really, really filthy, filthy, dirty. It's yeah.
Yeah, the
The
entire way they
egos, the
operate. When
psychopathy.
you, yeah, they're worse than like school children in the way because what's the House of Cards? I didn't watch the
Oh
American one,
gosh.
but the British one was fantastic. And they're so petty, and that's not the only example, but for anybody that's seen that show, you see how petty they are, and the inner squabbling, and the way they insult each other, and the way they don't actually work together. And our MP here, I'm very lucky, and I wonder if that's obviously divine. The MP, which in Canada that's like maybe your senators, so she's for my entire county, and she's actually awake. I don't know how spiritual she is, but you can tell
Nice.
she's awake. She's conscious. She is heart and brain centered. And the things she say are perfection, and she wins by a landslide. The loyalty following her is on point. But she gets arguing with our prime minister, and I used to think like he wasn't that bad considering, but I know he's a politician. And the way he talks to her shows you're not intelligent enough to know what she's talking about. So you get petty and you insult her. And he even just like, he publicly said like, oh, well, he didn't answer her question. Instead he went, well, you're not even going to have a job next term. She does. She just got in again. So,
Mm.
and it's just because he was ego from a girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's not even overly that young. She's like almost 50, maybe. It's hard to tell nowadays with people's age. She's been working in the business for over 40 years, she says. And she's clearly extremely educated, and not just educated in politics. She's just awake and aware and watching how the others like act like something's wrong with her. It's like if one of us was in
Ego.
politics, like that's what it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the way they can't, because I've noticed that if ever I try to argue with a normie, which I don't normally do, like I did today about Snow White, but you watch how it just hits a
Mm-hmm.
wall. Like you can't get
Mm-hmm.
anything into them at all. Where like I can have a debate with a spiritual person of like certain different spiritual concepts that we all know about, and it'll go back and forth, and maybe we won't agree, but that's fine. But when you're talking to these people not even in the world, I get why people think there's NPCs. And unfortunately, I mean, NPCs is actually an easy answer, and that would be fantastic. But unfortunately, we're just dealing with a ton of people in power that are sleeping.
Yeah.
Complete sheeple. There are sheeple in power, and they have their
Mm-hmm.
downloaded narrative. For all we know, like they are working off some being that is completely using
Mm-hmm.
them because they're an empty, vapid shell that has no sense of
Yep.
actual authority, sovereignty, using their own personal discernment. They don't utilize any of these tools of the self, and then they're just puppets. Like we hear they're puppets, and then they think there's this evil. I don't know how far the actual evil humans go, because I don't have that high level of faith in a human to be that evilly powerful. I think it's a lot of
Right.
entities taking them over. If I see a group of super evil humans, I'll be impressed, because how are they even pulling it off? Because for me, awakening and being aware came with heart centeredness. I don't know how you would even get to that. Maybe that's just what I'm born into. I don't know. But I don't know how these people exist in such places of power, yet there's nothing in there. There's nothing going on. And why are we still allowing it, though? That's what it actually comes down to. Because this woman, Bobby Ann Brady, she's actually awake. She's actually discussing actual things. And you should be very happy to have her, not picking apart everything she says, trying to make her look dumb. But luckily, she's very smart and can just has answers for everything. And it's not political answers. It's not political answers. It's
Awesome.
real people answers. So it just shows the change is coming. I don't weirdly think it's an
It
accident
is.
that
It's
she's in
happening.
my county soon, right? Like, have you guys seen any
That's not an
politicians?
accident.
Yeah. Hi, do you?
I mean,
I mean, people.
that's probably because of you. You're lifting up the whole frequency over there. So somebody like that could come into power, or not power, but come in to help. That's awesome.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
because
love
I
that.
think that's like part of planting us all around the world. Yeah, it was huge positive, because that's the actual way we're probably going to see the world change. I was an anarchist that wanted it to literally get and just be gone, but that's unrealistic, right? Yeah, I want that completely, but that's less likely. What's probably going to happen is a painstaking period where, like you were talking about that journalist, or that was finally like, oh, you know what? I don't have authority to talk off the cuff, because they're just so used to reading the script. And
Yep.
it's
Mhm.
hopefully going to be the same with politicians, where they slowly but surely either wake up themselves or get replaced by people that are awake. If us, the people, are doing the actual choosing of people that are awake, I think awake is more
Yeah.
important than intelligence, because we're watching a whole bunch of people come online
Yes.
that are from all different varies of intellectual levels of schooling and anything. But I've noticed that it doesn't matter once you're awake. It doesn't
I
matter
know.
what you're
It doesn't.
said, anything that kept you back in school, right? Because you can have a
Mhm.
heart-centered conversation and talk about pretty much anything if you're awake.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
then you can lean on
yep.
people that have their areas of expertise and trust that, hey, this will be a good person to represent us because they're heart centered. They understand that, you do want to help people who are struggling, but you also don't, it's just the balance, the harmony and understanding. Like, we do support each other. We are, no man is an island kind of
Mhm.
energy. But yeah, it's finding leaders and like, what do we do? What are the
And
options?
independence. And
It,
independence. Remove the parties, because
yeah,
she's independent, just to say that. You have to remove the parties because
Yeah.
you're removing the
Yep.
egregore.
yeah,
Yep.
There are
Yep.
egregores over the parties. Any party you want to create, even if you make a brand new one, it's going to quickly have an egregore. The only way you stay free of
hmm
that if it's individual.
Yeah, we have to get rid
be
of this
interesting.
whole left and right, like red and blue. We have to like just really unite. And we really were united before this whole division with the political parties happened. Like we were all united. Like it whatever came in and disrupted it and kind of like pulled us from the woods and lured us out, they knew how to like manipulate us, and now we're kind of like unweaving that web where we're like, oh my god, we actually really do all want the same thing. We all do love
hmm
each other. Like we really do, we are here for our brothers and sisters. Like we don't want to go and hurt and cause harm. They're the ones that want to do that. So they have to trick us, they have to convince us, they have to like, it's not like conquer and divide, it's divide then conquer. No, conquer, divide and conquer. No,
Mhm.
it's conquer then divide. They already conquered us, they divided us. So we're just kind of like unwinding that, and we realize it because you can't recalibrate and not see who's behind it all, like why they target the blacks, why they target the whites, why they target the purple people, the pink people, the blue people. Like you can't not see it. You're like, oh, that's why they're being manipulated, because they have so much power. Like they hold so much essence in their avatar, and they got to like
hmm
convince them that they're nothing, and they're hated on, and then they create these stories. They manipulated our past, our history. That's one of the things that has to go away, and I'm hoping that gets exposed sooner and later, that all these stories were them manipulating them and convincing us that we all hated each other, and the Indians and the cowboys went against each other. Like it's all bogus. The story, his story, history.
His story,
So
for sure.
yes, yep. And now we're like, oh, no. I actually can be friends with the bears and the wolves. Like there is, if you start to feel into that, like we could all be together. We're shifting the whole consciousness by just having that thought. And then
hmm
we recalibrate back to all of that it is. And then we don't eat the humans, or eat the humans. They don't eat us, but we don't eat the animals anymore. So we're kind of doing the same thing as they're doing to us. So, but it's all about thinking it, because when we project it out with our eyes, like
hmm
you said, or we're projectors. So it's like, I know there's a harmony between us and the birds and the bees. Like I know
Oh yeah.
it. Yeah, and it's cosmic. It's so cosmic, and that's why they try to make the whole cosmic galactic piece like just something that's sci-fi. But we
hmm
are the cosmic beings. So cool. It's really fun. Like I don't know. I'm trying
It's
to like
true.
have fun with it. Hmm.
No, it's true,
Do
and
y'all
you kind of
hear?
have to. And then
Do you hear the bells? Can y'all hear my bells? My wind chimes.
I can't hear them now, but I was hearing them before, and they're beautiful.
Okay, they get
mm
loud, and I was like, oh, they might be too loud, but that's the wind. The wind loves us talking about this, so she's like here.
Yeah, yeah. We're
Yeah,
finding
Sorry, give
and
me
each
my.
chimes will
other.
help us like tone and stuff. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like what you said, especially about the animals. I see that happening, and that's what I liked about Wicked. I love Wicked. I saw that way back when it came out. on Broadway, and it was my
Mhm.
anthem. I listened to the CD of it all the time back when we still listened to CDs. Like that song, Defying Gravity, I posted it on my Twitter before. Like you
Mm,
listen to that song and it's literally an anthem about being your own sovereign individual, and I'm gonna fly whether you like it or not. Like it could be the
I love
Awakeners
that. Yep.
anthem. It's so
Mhm.
powerful. Yeah, it's beautiful, and I actually liked the movie despite like there
Mhm.
was so many things they talked about it, but they'll say what they'll say, and we just have to like be with ourselves. And I like what you said about the animals because of course I wanted to always have symmetry or and symbiotic relationship with animals, but I have O blood and I know you have O blood, Raquel, and like it's one of the things where it's like hard for us to be vegan or even vegetarian because the O blood like eating meat is like one of the top things an O blood person should eat. So I've tried being
Well,
vegan many times. And go ahead.
I will tell you this. One thing I learned is we need more copper in our blood. It's not iron. So just fill into that, see what that does for you because that actually might shift you completely. We need more copper.
Obsessed. I'm wearing many copper. Yeah, I love copper.
Okay. Yes. So just see, not telling you
I
how it
feel
is
you
or
there.
anything, but just feel into that and take it or leave it and see what happens.
No, I love that. Yeah, and I have copper cups too. I get anything I can. But because I want off meat and so I am. The other day I wasn't eating much meat. I would only eat it kind of to survive when I felt myself lacking energy
Mhm.
kind of thing because I tried going full vegan and I had pretty serious symptoms. But anyways, day before yesterday, I'm just eating a chicken salad. It's fresh chicken from the market and I have like my heart rejected it and it was like this heart thing happened and I wasn't sure what was going on, so I just keep eating like
Yeah.
I hadn't put two and
Yeah.
two together yet, and then all of a sudden my stomach starts convulsing like it's gonna get rid of it, so I stop eating. I wasn't sure what was going on. I intuitively thought the meat. So then that night I make chicken for supper, and it again, it's from this special guy that grows his own chicken. He has his own chicken and he even makes sure to love the chicken, so it's like your top chicken you could be eating. And I didn't even eat it. I went to eat it and the same thing and started again. It was just Tessa and it was like I've never felt it before. It was like a my heart was like pushing out and in at the
It's
same
like
time. It
that
was this weird
frequency.
magnetic feeling.
Yeah. It's the frequencies and
Yeah.
it's
And
because we really are like leveling up. Like we're going through this metamorphosis, like even just these past 2 weeks. And then now, like, so I think we really are like recalibrating to what we really need. And we don't need much food. We just really don't.
no,
And like you said, just listen to your body. If you do want to eat meat, if you feel like, okay, then eat meat. But like that's one thing that I've been noticing. And the more you sun gaze, the more you don't really need to eat. That feeds everything. It feeds all the chakras.
that's
It
true.
feeds all the light and
Mm.
makes us stronger. Uh, but everybody's different, so I don't like to ever tell anybody how to like do anything when it comes to this stuff
No,
because
agreed.
everybody's different, and I think it's because we all come from different star systems. Where on this planet you might eat once every 30 days, and on this star system you might eat like every day, um, or not at all. I don't even know. And I think that it comes through whatever's happening with our Earth Terrans are starting to like recalibrate too. I can feel like with our cosmic like history. So that could be like what's happening. I don't know. Just saying.
Totally
Yeah.
feel that. I feel that. The last few weeks, physically, just healing, but generally upbeat, high vibe stuff. But then, like with the food, like, yeah, maybe eat like once a day. It's like, I
Yeah.
just don't like the appetite's not there. Just like in 2020, for like no reason at all of a sudden, I'm just like, yeah, I don't find booze attractive at all. No tequila, no like
I
nothing.
I
I was like,
know.
and it's not that I'm against it, but it's
Mhm.
just having spent life in a career that was soul sucking, and then coming home every day and needing to drink just to like try to
Yeah, the cope.
function and face
Hmm.
cope. It's just like cope and seethe, man. I don't know, but it feels like it's where we have the awareness, eating less. Right there with you about the meat, Diana. the chicken side. Like there's been a few things that so my husband is a hunter, so we do get venison, but I also do understand that he does like those rituals, when you thank the animal and use it for for intentional purposes, and not just for the thrill and the fun of it. But yeah, I've just like I don't even feel like immediately my energy is just like, nah, don't want to eat it, don't eat it. So if he makes something that's um whether it's chicken or pork or steak or whatever, some every now and then there's just sometimes my body just is like, no, not interested. Not that I'm repelled, but it's just like I'm just trusting. I'm literally trusting my gut. Like it's not for me,
Feeling.
and
Yeah.
bringing that awareness through that my body's changing. It's more light, and try to make good choices. Carrot juice. Freshly
Mhm.
squeezed celery, carrots, apples,
Cherry
or
juice, so good.
cherry juice. Oh, and I love pomegranate. Yeah, there's just and I love walnuts and almonds and all. So
Mhm.
just having more of that natural stuff around. Um, More veggies and fewer tendies and tater tots, I suppose. But yeah,
Same.
it's interesting. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are having similar kind of experiences or sensations in your
Oh
body that
yeah.
are just like it's like the natural radar of like yes,
Same.
no. It's like I don't have a
Mhm.
pendulum, but my body is just like allowing me to just steers me like, is it okay to have a cup of coffee and throw a little sugar? Like, yeah, maybe you kind of need it. I need to cope through some of this eclipse energy. Like, not gonna judge it.
Might need
Um,
more salt or more sugar. I was noticing I needed more salt. I like in my diet, I was like, I need more salt. Like I need to eat some salt. So. Mhm. Oh, I might have to pop off, guys, because I have a house full of kids, and they're all like right there.
No
This
worries.
was
We've been
so
going for like
fun.
it's just a good time to wrap up. Yeah, this was
yeah,
great.
Oh,
Even though, and it's funny because I could tell the energy when we started was more like meh, and like we totally like I feel better energy. Do you
I feel
guys?
so much better.
yes, I feel so good. Like this has been so
Yeah,
fun,
this
and
this was
I'm
cleansing
not.
in a good way, and so thank you.
Yeah. Thank you
Thank
for
you. And
sharing all
Karen,
this
on the same way,
wonderful
I'm
divine.
new. Yes. Oh
What's
my
that?
God, I had so much fun with y'all, and
Oh,
I
me
had so
too.
much fun, and I was going to tell you, I'm like you, where I don't. This is new for me, like getting on and talking out loud about this stuff with my face. I do a
Yeah,
lot of
same.
sharing,
Yeah.
so
And
I'm
I've
just so
never,
thankful.
you're not.
Thank you.
And it's just growing. And it's just like getting on X was a big thing for me. It's
Yes.
just like, okay, I need to start doing this. I need to start putting out, like, I write a lot, meditations, poems, prayers, just having spaces like this where people can find that support, encouragement, guidance, advice, and no judgment, just so yeah.
Hmm.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a
Thanks, Dyanna.
perfect way to close it. Thank you so much, ladies. Lots of love to you all, and we'll see you again next week, audience. And thank you so much for being here. Love
Thank
to
you.
everybody.